how, as a parent, are you trying to create the right soundtracks for your kids so that years later they're not in therapy for how you raised them?
Well, I mean, they're going to be in therapy. Like, I don't want the therapist to get a boat because of stuff I've done, but they're definitely going to see a therapist.
Tell me about some of the common soundtracks that a lot of us have playing in the background.
I'm too old. I'm too young. Like, whatever the thing is, I'm too old to do this. I'm too young to do that. My past prevents my future. Who am I to do that? I'm underqualified to do that. The easiest way to find a broken soundtrack, and a broken one is one that's not helpful. The easiest way is to write down something you want to do. Like, it could be start a podcast. It could be start a family. It could be, own my own business. It could be, go to Hawaii. Like, write down a desire you have, read the whole Bible in a year, whatever, and then listen to your first reaction, because every reaction is an education. And if your first thoughts don't propel you forward and go, you can do that. We have to do that. Let's figure that out. Then there's probably a broken soundtrack. It takes 30 seconds to find a broken soundtrack.
So tell me this, because you're in a similar situation to me. You're the only guy in your home. I have two daughters, 18 and 16, about to be.
Oh, that's almost, yeah. We're like months away from each other.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a different world. What have you learned from family and just raising daughters that helps you do what you do?
Well, I mean, I learn from them all the time. My oldest daughter said to me recently, Dad, you only have two speeds. You're either OCD or no CD. And I thought that's really smart. And she was right. Like, I tend to go all or nothing. And so I'm kind of saying, okay, well, what would it look like to have a balanced approach? And so I think you're constantly learning from them. I think when you have more than one kid, you realize they came to the planet with brains. Like, they got gifts, like they got specific gifts. It's really easy when you only have one kid to go, no, this is how, like, we taught her all this, or but when you have two kids that have different personalities, different passions, different thinking, I think you learn quickly, like, oh, that's right. Like, they came to the planet with some stuff. Like, God gave them different approaches to life. So I feel like I learn stuff from them constantly. I've also learned they don't want me to do TikTok or Instagram Reels. Like, they would kill me if they ever catch me dancing to some song, or like, they're gonna murder me. So they do their best to kind of have me not embarrass them in public ways. But I think every kid does that.
Well, then we're living in the same household. That's great. What do you think the soundtracks, or how, as a parent, are you trying to create the right soundtracks for your kids so that years later they're not in therapy for how you raised them?
Well, I mean, they're going to be in therapy. So I'm not like, let's take that right off. There's nothing you're going to do as a parent that is going to prevent that kid from going to therapy. Like, that's good. So like, once you accept that, you're like, okay, well, let's go. It depends on the amount, I guess, or the cost. Like, I don't want the therapist to get a boat because of stuff I've done, but they're definitely going to see a therapist. I think part of it is you talk about it. Here's the thing with soundtracks. Kids get it faster than adults because they don't have 20 years of old ones to unlearn. Like, when you teach a kid the truth, they sprint. Like, that's just how it is. So when you go, hey, you can choose to think this about yourself, they go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Let's go. So we've had so many parents go, paid my son to read your book. My 13-year-old read it. My 14-year-old read it. Like, so I think some of it is using the nomenclature out loud. Hey, I think that might be a broken soundtrack. So just the other day, I'm at a swim meet. I'm a timer because I'm so generous with my time, servant leader. Mm-hmm. And this girl gets out of the pool and she says to her mom, I'm the slowest swimmer ever. I'm the worst swimmer on the team. I'm terrible. And she walks off. And I immediately think those are broken soundtracks. Uh-huh. Like, and that's a moment to go, whoa, wait a second. You could say I'm disappointed in how I swam. That's true. Like, you can be disappointed. Like, great. You're not trying to go like, no, you're the best swimmer ever when you lost. Like, you lost. So that's not helpful to lie. But you don't want to label statements like, I'm the slowest person ever. I'm the worst. And you don't want those to take root, and you don't want those to get repetitive, and you don't want those to spread to other parts of their life. I'm the worst at math. I'll never be good at math. So listening for words like, now you're 12. Like, let's say you lived to 82. You got that's like 70 years to learn math. It's too early to say never. Like, it's too early to say never. Let's talk about that. And then also going, okay, our family, what are our soundtracks? Like, one of ours is we don't show up hungry. We don't show up hungry. So if somebody, say we're going on a road trip to somebody's house, we don't roll in a hot mess at like 6 p.m. and also expect dinner. If they've said ahead of time, hey, we'd love to have a barbecue when you get here, cool. But we don't show up hungry going, hey, not only are we staying here, we demand you feed us. That's a small, like micro soundtrack on a macro soundtrack of we're considerate of other people. So we'll stop an hour before and eat dinner before we get there so we don't show up hungry. So that's the kind of thing that it's not a huge deal, but it is one of those things that we're trying to instill into our kids and go, hey, here's, or like we're always talking to our kids, like, well, check the motive. Like the thing you heard, was there a motive? The person who said it, did they have a motive? And if there was a motive, then, be careful about what information you're accepting. Like without, like, just assume there's a motive, and so, or, here's how to use your phone, and there's soundtracks around that. Like, here's how to be deliberate about that. So I think you can soundtrack any part of life. And again, kids get pretty good at it pretty quickly.
That's brilliant. And I think that, as much as my wife and I have tried to create the right soundtracks, I'm sure there's going to be some that they've picked up on that we didn't necessarily intend to. The deep cuts, the B-sides,
deep
all that.
Cuts, that's funny.
That people are going to learn about in therapy.